Representative Wooten, you're recognized to speak against the bill.
Well, let me share a couple of things with you. First of all, this doesn't encourage them, it prohibits it, tells them not to do it, okay? Second of all, city councils, again, I'm gonna repeat this, I've said this once down here, and I'm gonna try to laugh and be happy because a lot of you think I'm mad when I'm down here. I'm not mad, I'm just forceful, I'm just making a point. Let me share with you, these city councils are elected by their constituents just like we are. We're getting to the point that we're dictating and telling the cities and counties what they can do. They have to they're closer to the people than we are. Let them make this decision. Now, let's talk about the constitutionality. It's constitutional until somebody contests it. And there's 38 of them, as Representative Ray, in the state. If I backed off every time I got threatened to be sued, I'd be backing up every day. I don't worry about that. That's not our worry. They adopt them. The 10-year-old boy that was mauled by a pit bull happened the same week that a BB police officer was mauled when he went to a home that he was called to because a vicious dog outside, he got there and the dog jumped him and bit him. And my mayor has asked me to vote against this, and I'm voting against it. And folks, let the local people take care of their business. We've got enough to take care of down here without us forcing other things down their throat. And I want to tell you this one more time, this does not encourage them to do it. It prohibits them from doing it. So you're enacting a law that affects every municipality in this state. Thank you.
Representative Gasaway, you're recognized to speak against the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, as you know, I don't like to speak against members' bills, but in this instance, I feel somewhat compelled to come down here. I have some experience dealing with these cases. When I was a prosecutor, I prosecuted instances where there were vicious dog attacks, and 201, they were pit bulls. I can recall in one specific instance where there was a young boy who the pit bull actually left its owner's yard, busted up inside a person's house, and attacked the young boy inside of his own home, grasped onto his leg, and they tried to beat the dog off of his leg and could not get the dog off this child's leg. The child almost died because it could have severed an artery. Fortunately, it didn't. And I think that dog was ultimately euthanized. In response to that and several other instances, which again, 2A1 were pit bulls, the cities that I represented at the time passed bans on pit bulls, and to my knowledge, they've not been challenged to this day. I'll also say that, with respect to the legal challenge of these ordinances, I don't know how the record was developed in the lower court and what evidence the appellate courts may have had when they looked at the appeals, but there is a lot of evidence out there that pit bulls are inherently dangerous animals. As Representative Pilkington mentioned, the statistics he had said that 71% of dog bites were attributable to pit bulls. Now, the statistics I had, and I think that were presented in committee yesterday, said that it was 66%. But one of the things that you have to understand, and I think this would be appropriate to develop a record if these cases were to go up on appeal, is that there's this idea of what's called instinctive or predatory drift. In other words, dogs are bred in a certain way. Certain breeds are bred in a certain way, and because of that, when they find themselves in certain situations, their instincts kick in, and it makes them much more likely to chase, much more likely to bite, and much more likely to bite with the intention to kill. And that's exactly how pit bulls have been bred, and that's why that they account for, of all the dog bites, the vast majority of dog bites. But the thing that's particularly concerning about pit bulls is the pounds per square inch that their jaws are capable of producing when they crush on a human being's limb, leg, neck, whatever the case may be. They have enormous power in their jaws that are capable of producing fatalities in humans. And I think that it is entirely reasonable to allow a municipality, and we talk about local control around here all the time. We talk about it when it suits our purposes typically, but if you want to talk about local control, I think it's the essence of local control to allow municipalities to make this decision to ban a specific breed. Now, ultimately, as with everything we pass around here, there can be legal challenges to it. I think the record needs to be developed, and I think all of the research that's out there that suggests, I don't think it just suggests, I think it proves that these breeds are inherently dangerous, they're inherently aggressive, they are by their nature capable of producing fatalities, not like the Lhasa that I have. My sweet little dog couldn't kill you if he wanted to, and we love the little guy, but a pit bull can. And it makes it particularly concerning. And for that reason, I think that we would be wrong to tell the municipalities that they can't do this. Let's let municipalities decide for themselves in these instances. And so with that, I would ask you to vote no on this bill. Thank you.
Representative Gasaway has spoken against. Representative Brown, you're recognized to speak against the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, like Representative Gasaway, I hate to speak against the member's bill, and a lot of what I would say has already been covered by other speakers against the bill, so I'll just tell a little story. It's touched on by Representative Pilkington. On May the 28th, 2020, Robbie Taylor, which is a name that is known in Faulkner County, went to go check the mail. It was his summer vacation. He was home with his siblings and his mom. He asked, "Hey Mom, can I go check the mail?" She said, "Sure." So he walked down the driveway to check his mail. Well, he didn't come back. After about 15 minutes, his mother noticed he's been gone for a while. So she went and looked for him. She found his shoes in the driveway. She called 911. His 15-year-old sister found his body in the field. He had been mauled to death by 2 pit bulls. As a street-level lawyer, as they call us, do a little bit of everything, and I had the occasion to be involved tangentially on the resulting criminal case that came up. And I had to sit in court and watch the case unfold. And I had to look at the pictures of this child, this 9-year-old boy, laying down in the field with his jugular tore out. I had to look at the pictures of him on the medical examiner's table when he had his autopsy. But the most haunting thing was I heard his mother wailing in the courtroom. And like Representative Pilkington, as the father of 2 young daughters, that bothered me. Usually I'm dealing with insurance or banking or real estate. The fact of the matter is that statistics show that pit bulls make up only 6% of the dogs in this country. Yet in fatal dog attacks, pit bulls are responsible for north of 65%. Rottweilers make up less than 2% of the dogs in this country, and they're responsible for an additional 10%. So 2 dog breeds are responsible for 3/4 of the fatalities in this country, and the numbers just keep increasing. Folks argue that it's not the dogs, it's the owners, it's bad owners. Well, the 2 dogs in the Robbie's case, they had not been abused. They were, taken care of pretty well. They were house dogs. They were family dogs. Family had small children. They got along great with the kids. But one day they got out of the fence and they snapped. And I would say that every pit bull is a good dog until one day they're not. And kids die when they're not. We all know that bloodhounds have been selectively bred to track. It's in their nature, it's in their DNA. Border collies have been selectively bred to herd. It is in their nature, it is in their DNA. Pit bulls have been bred for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to fight. It is in their nature, it is in their biological makeup. I know that we've had many bills this session where local municipalities and governments have overstepped the mark in terms of regulation, and we had to come back and say, hey guys, that's not appropriate, we're gonna take that power away from you. But I think the ability of communities that are affected by dogs like this to put in regulations if they choose, I don't think that's overstepping the mark. I think that's being responsible to your community. There was mention about the court challenges. Well, the legal standard is there a rational basis for the breed ban? Is there a rational relationship between the harm that the government seeks to avoid and its police power to ensure the safety of the public health, safety, and welfare? And I believe that those withstand those challenges in other states, and they'll withstand it here if, as Representative Galloway mentioned, a proper record is made. Every court case is different. But to me, there's something fundamentally wrong where the associations that promote pit bulls even warn owners, when you take your dogs out, you must take a break stick with you. Because if your dog does snap and latches onto a kid or latches onto a dog, you have to use this stick. To be a responsible owner, you must have this club to loosen your dog. And I would close with this. One thing else I found in my research last night as I was looking into this, and I've enjoyed the back and forth that Representative Richmond, Representative Berry have about the Marines versus the Air Force. But one thing that surprised me is that one thing that the Army, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps all three agree on is we do not let pit bulls on our base housing. The armed forces see the problem. I think municipalities should be able to have the same rights, and therefore I'd encourage a no vote on the bill.